You know I be in the town all day. I be in the SEA. You know I be in the town all day. I be in the SEA.
Hello and welcome to episode 495 of the fabulous Peltoncast, sponsored by our friends at Pagliacci Pizza. I'm your co-host, Kevin Pelton.
And I'm Tristan Carcino.
And we're coming to you in separate locations on New Year's Day. I'm in Seattle, Washington, home of the AL West champion Mariners.
And I'm coming to you from Renton, Washington, home of the Super Bowl 48 champion and as of now, number one seeded Seattle Seahawks.
The DVOA leading Seattle Seahawks, top 10 all time, just ahead of this year's LA Rams, heading into a winner take number one seed matchup on Sunday against the San Francisco 49ers.
On
Saturday, yes. Do not tune in on Sunday. Tune in on Saturday. And we start with this week, in addition to a happy new year to you, the listener, with the toast to these six Seahawks Pro Bowlers: Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith-Njigba, DeMarcus Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Devon Witherspoon, and Rashid Shaheed.
Devon Witherspoon.
I don't know what tripped me up on that word. Devon Witherspoon, obviously.
And could possibly be more to come with players sitting out, stuff like that, injuries.
Although, with the move to a full flag football format, there are no alternates for the offensive or defensive lines. So Byron Murphy II can't
make it.
No.
Byron Murphy, Charles Cross, players like that cannot make it.
Gray Zabel, hypothetically.
Oh.
So, there you go. I do think it is, like, they also, like, picked three defensive linemen, and yes, Byron Murphy has been more productive than a certain member of the Philadelphia Eagles who has long drawn your ire, but who has made the Pro Bowl alongside Devon Witherspoon, and the Seahawks took over him. Having two of the three interior linemen be Seahawks, even if Byron Murphy II is quite deserving, and obviously Leonard Williams does feel like it probably is a lot to ask.
Just the entire defensive line is all Seahawks.
Oops, all Seahawks.
I mean, wouldn't you take it?
It'd be a good team. I'm not surprised that Jalen Carter made it.
It's fine. I don't care. It's whatever.
All right, let's get into it.
So we're getting right into it.
I've got a lot of roundup today. And then
okay.
The Seahawks.
I will say, how about this? On the Pro Bowlers, first off, DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yes.
Somebody who I think that we both were a little skeptical about the signing as it happened. But
oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of times this signing happens and the guy is just completely done.
We talked about this on the Year in Review podcast, all of the moves that John Schneider made that ended up working. And, a lot of them are these players right here. Literally, you could like trace back every single one of these players to being like, well, that was a great move by John Schneider. Whether it's the Russell Wilson trade, whether it's the signing, etc., or drafting Jackson Smith-Njigba in the 20s, even the Rashid Shaheed trade, though, mid-season, which I don't think anybody was really criticizing the Rashid Shaheed trade, but that was one where it's like, boom, right on top of this. He swings the game against the Rams. I do feel like it's one of those moments where like you end up on such an all-time heater of decisions that you're going to trust every instinct you ever have. You're going to be like, that's right. But DeMarcus Lawrence working out is one that I am personally surprised by and excited about, of how well that's gone this season for the Seahawks. So for him, the rest of these players totally make sense. If you would have asked me preseason if these players were going to be Pro Bowlers, I would have said there was a pretty good shot of it. But and Darnold was probably the biggest question mark, but you could see the window to Darnold becoming a Pro Bowl quarterback.
I think he was a Pro Bowler last year, wasn't he?
DeMarcus Lawrence, of all players, is the one that is the most surprising to me. And I think it's awesome to have had a player like that, have brought him in and had it worked out so well. So congrats to everybody.
Look, you're clearly very into DeMarcus Lawrence. You have him as MVP of the Super Bowl, in case you haven't already listened to the bold predictions in the 2025 Seattle Sports Year in Review, which you haven't, you should. And then also you suggested this on the Discord, or if you want to email us, peltoncast@gmail.com, your bold predictions for 2026 that we can then revisit alongside ours.
As specific and convoluted as possible.
Oh, you only know one way.
The more specific and convoluted. I really was looking back on that Tom Cruise prediction and just being like, that was such a good one. Even when the things don't come true, I love just making a good bold prediction.
Even when you don't know when the movie is coming out. Sam Darnold was not even an alternate last year, so I guess that was pretty surprising.
Look at Darnold.
Someone named Geno Smith was an alternate. Kind of strange. All
That
right,
is
now
kind of strange.
now let's get into it, starting with the Mariners, who signed outfielder Rob Refsnyder to a 1-year contract. Refsnyder will turn 35 just before opening day. He has 10 years of MLB experience, really only emerged as a valuable player after joining the Red Sox in 2022, but has totaled 3.6 WAR over the past 4 seasons. That's BWAR in a platoon role. Two-thirds of his at-bats last season came against lefties, who he crushed to a 302, 399, 562, and 616 OPS by comparison against righties. Relatively in line with his career marks. He's 633 in his career against righties, 826 against lefties, including an outstanding 383 OBP. And when you look at some of the lineups the Mariners were throwing out there against left-handed pitchers in the playoffs, this was certainly an area of need for them that they have addressed now with Rob Refsnyder, even if it's not the big acquisition that people were hoping for at some point.
I think kind of a sneaky good signing by the Mariners also. And I think it's one that will be deceptively important by the time we get to the season. Like people aren't going to be going back and looking at this offseason and talking about like, oh, who did this team add? Who did that team add? As far as winning games and important moments on the field, I do think Rob Refsnyder could have a pretty huge impact on the team overall.
Yeah, they just hadn't had anyone in the slot. I mean, Mitch Garver was essentially who they were treating as their platoon guy versus lefties last year. He's obviously not going to factor into the mix this year after they signed Andrew Kisner to be their backup catcher. So, Dylan Moore was in this spot for a long period of time. Refsnyder doesn't bring the defensive versatility that Dylan Moore does. He actually started his career as a second baseman, but has basically exclusively been a corner outfielder since he got to the Red Sox. So, it's not as valuable in that regard, but I think you would expect to see him starting at DH a lot of the time, or maybe rotating in at left field and right field to give, a Rosa Reina and Victor Robles a chance to DH, or, Robles slides to center and Julio gets a DH, that sort of thing. So I was surprised. I have in my head that the Mariners have been like really dominant against lefties. It felt like particularly in 2022, and then last year that kind of changed. And it's not true. They've actually generally been better versus right-handed pitching the last 3 seasons, and pretty clearly so last year. So this was indeed.
But I mean, we're talking like 959 OPS against lefties. This is a huge deal. I remember when I used to play out of the park baseball, and I would have the right-handed lineup and the left-hand lineup, and like, never the twain shall meet or whatever. And it does feel like this is kind of what, obviously he had still 66 at bats against righties where he was bad in most of them. I mean, yeah, no, he was bad overall.
I don't know. What was Mitch Garver's OPS against right-handed hitters is a question.
If it's worse than 616.
It's probably in that ballpark, I'm betting.
Yeah, also bad.
So to actually be good at the left-handed part of it, his OPS versus righties, obviously he was playing at a much worse hitter's park, and that's one of the things we have to account for with Refsnyder. Last year, 550 OPS versus righties, 718 versus lefties.
Yeah, okay.
So there you go.
I mean, Robert Refsnyder hit it better against both. So I'm kind of excited about this one overall. He's going to be put in really good positions. And it also takes away some of the opponent's ability to scheme against the Mariners.
Right.
And I think that's kind of, in a playoff series in particular, it could be something where in the end, it might not matter, but like in a playoff series, it's the type of thing that you want to do to be able to go out, stop the other teams from taking advantage of your weaknesses.
I guess I was going to say in response to your OOTP point that it feels like platoons are probably less important in MLB than they were 20 years ago, because of the fact that the number of offensive roster spots has decreased. Like if you only have 4 offensive reserves and that one of them needs to be a catcher, and you sort of need utility defenders, it's harder to keep someone more than one platoon guy, but you probably have that one platoon spot. And then in the playoffs, the other piece of it is funny because the Mariners beat Tarek Skubal twice in the playoffs, so it's not like they had a hard time with lefties. Exactly.
I mean, I just wouldn't exactly count on it.
I agree. But
it wasn't like they roughed up Skubal in those games. They outpitched the Tigers.
I do see a scenario where, there's a big pinch hit at bat where he's pinch hitting for Dom Canzone.
Yes.
It was Leo Rivas who had the the big pinch hit in Game 5, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't there?
Rivas. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
when they pulled Canzone and then
yeah.
put in Rivas. Yeah, I was still mad about it.
Because Canzone pinch hit and then got burned immediately, right?
Yes, yes.
When the pitching changed.
You were gone for this. You didn't even remember this happening. I can't believe we didn't talk about that. About me.
No, we did talk it. No, we talked about
only
it.
soul in the stadium sitting there angrily.
Seething. Like me seething through Sean Alexander's touchdown against the Colts in week 16 in 2005.
Those are honestly the best moments too, when you're
Are
just so
they?
mad about something. No, when it works out.
Okay.
A lot of times you're there angry and it just doesn't even work out. But
Right. You just stay angry. All right, Seattle Kraken are suddenly on a point streak. They swept their 3-game California swing, then beat Philadelphia 4-1 for their most lopsided win since October in their return home. Took a point from Vancouver in a shootout loss in their final game of 2025. They are now just 2 points out of the playoffs.
Hello.
Heading into the new year. Despite what I like about it is, sometimes the Kraken win games, a bunch of games in a row. Often they lose a lot of games in a row. Their advanced stats stay terrible the entire time. Just have not budged. They are 29th in Fenwick and Corsi, 29th or 30th all season long. They host Nashville tonight on New Year's Day to get the 2026 portion of their schedule started.
Should I watch that? Is that on TV?
I think they're all on TV here. This one actually does.
ESPN Plus.
Is that?
But that's local. That's
yeah.
Okay. Maybe I should bandwagon the Kraken right now.
Okay, let's do it.
They're 2 points out of the playoffs. Let's get in early. You still want them to tank?
I mean, they're only 5 points from the worst last place in the NHL. They're 2 points out of the playoffs. They're 5 points out of the number one spot going into the lottery. So that's what's going on with the NHL standings right now. You are a winning streak or a losing streak away from either spot.
This is a sliding doors moment for the Kraken right now in early January, right? Because they're getting close to midseason as well, I guess.
Yes. Because they're breaking. They have, their schedule is a little more front loaded as they are breaking. They have played 37 games thus far entering tonight.
Okay, well, we'll like opposite sides cheer. You'll cheer against the Kraken and I'll cheer for the Kraken.
It's, I had never seen before watching it last night, the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. So they have created the two multiverses. There's one multiverse where the Kraken make the playoffs and one multiverse where they tank.
I mean, that's true of most things, I think.
It is. Yes. But it's just fun when we're each living
you're like I watched this movie and it made me think there's one world where a sports team is good and another world where a sports team is
specifically the discuss
get this
decisions creating the different timelines. So that is not necessarily a specific feature of other multiverses.
The Kraken are trying to win. They're not trying.
Of course they are.
To be the 29th team in Fenwick or whatever.
All right, well, you know who else is trying to win? Seattle Sounders FC, who have officially re-signed Paul Rothrock to a 3-season deal with a team option for 2029-30. We talked about kind of a change in the negotiations. I think as we talked about Rothrock's role perhaps in the Leagues Cup finale. So this was kind of expected that it was going to happen, but still exciting to have it take place. Rothrock has been a really important player for the Sounders the last 2 seasons with his ability to, fill a variety of roles, change a game with his energy. So, and having the guy from Capitol Hill remain a prominent part of the Sounders, to me, is a great thing. So excited about this one. Our UW basketball. On Monday, the women opened their Big Ten play in earnest with a 94-73 win over Northwestern. They made their most threes since 2016, going 16 of 36 from beyond the arc, led by 6 from Avery Howell, who scored a career-high 23 points. Savia Sellers had 4 triples, Eladine 3s. They combined for 65 points, probably the best game of the season for Eladine. Exciting to see her continue getting back into the swing of things. Bench got extended minutes with Devin Coppinger scoring 9 points in 17 minutes off the bench. And Savia Sellers early in the game with her first basket reached 1,000 career points. This was kind of a weird timing situation where we weren't able to really talk about UW this afternoon is taking on number 6 Michigan, who began this road trip undefeated. I was considering a bold prediction that the Huskies would hand Michigan their first loss of the season. Alas, I would have been wrong about that even before 2026 started, as Michigan played at Oregon on, I believe that was Monday, as the Huskies were playing Northwestern and suffered their first loss in double overtime. So they are no longer unbeaten. But this is a team, you recall, these two teams met in the Big Ten tournament last year in a game that would have been important for seeding for the Huskies. And, Michigan was an at-large team, but not a top 10 team in the country, certainly. And pulled out a narrow win, even though the Huskies led much of that one. But Michigan was really built around, a couple of freshmen. Olivia Olson taking a huge step forward this year with 18.4 points per game. But again, not really worth previewing in full, as this game will be over probably by the time you listen to this. But hopefully the Huskies have managed to also defeat Michigan. UW men wrapped up non-conference play a week ago Monday after we recorded. They beat San Diego 86-56, a game they trailed 11-10 6 minutes into the game, then went on a 26-3 run and led by 20 plus throughout the second half. Tough go for Steve Lavin. Hannes Steinbach had 21 points, 14 boards, plus 3 steals and 2 blocks. Zoom Diallo had 17 points. Nick Zapina played 21 minutes off the bench in his most extended action since joining the team midseason, had 7 points and 8 boards. So that was exciting to see. Then more of a test this Monday against Utah. Huskies trailed the Utes by 1 at halftime, started the second half on a 12-2 run, never lost the lead again. Nearly all of their scoring in the 74-65 win came from Desmond Claude, Zoom Diallo, and Hannes Steinbach, who combined for as many points as the Utes had as a team. Steinbach added 11 boards, while Diallo had 7 assists with his 24 points in one of his best career games. Frank Kepnang didn't score a lot, just 4 points, but 10 boards, 6 blocks, dominating the paint, as Utah shot 45% on twos. The bad news we learned before this game is that Wesley Yates III underwent wrist surgery, which could end his season. Danny Sprinkle told reporters that, he kind of broke an uncommon bone in his wrist, and quote, "It can heal very, very quickly, or it can take a long time to heal. It just kind of depends how the
Sliding
surgery
doors.
goes."
I just saw everything everywhere all at once. And there's actually 2 options for this. It can heal quickly, or it can heal slowly. Danny Sprinkle's learning things from watching film. That's good.
So
that film of the basketball, a film.
Yes, that perhaps a theatrical movie. Perhaps add some context to the report that the Huskies were among the teams reportedly interested in adding Chicago Bulls wing Trenton Flowers, who's on a 2-way contract. After
Is this a thing? Is this a thing now that's happening?
So what happened here is Baylor, who you'll recall the Huskies played at the start of the year, at the quarter break, or the semester break for them, added James Nagy, who was the number 31 pick of the NBA draft a few years ago, but never came to the NBA, just played in summer league and had been playing with FC Barcelona. So the NCAA, even though he had been through the draft process, there was really no reason to treat him any differently than any other international young player of a similar age. I believe he's 21, who would be eligible to come to the NCAA. So this broke people's brains. The concept that someone could have been drafted in the NBA and play in the NCAA. Do not tell them about Larry Bird. Do not let them know that this happened, that the whole NCAA survived. In fact, that it's literally its most popular championship game ever, with Larry Bird having been drafted, playing for Indiana State against Magic Johnson and Michigan State. But again, do not tell people that. It will break their brains. And then in the wake of that, this Trenton Flowers report came out. I don't know how much validity there actually is to this. The argument would be the NCAA has it's acknowledged that now it's okay for players to play professionally in non-NBA leagues and then play in the NCAA. I don't know for sure what Hannes Steinbach was getting paid, but there used to be you had to prove you were only getting expenses. But now that college players can be paid, it is a pretty trivial distinction whether you played, at FC Barcelona.
Also, or getting expenses. What expenses could be a lot of things.
Expenses can be a lot of things. Or in high school. The NBA, though, remains a bright line. And there was a statement earlier this week from NCAA President Charlie Baker, who said, among other things, some of them preposterous, the NCAA has not and will not grant eligibility to any prospective or returning student athletes who have signed an NBA contract, including a 2-way contract. So Trenton Flowers will not be joining the Huskies or any other team. It's unclear whether they were really interested.
I'm happy that UW was willing to be in the mix. at the very least,
it's
that they
unclear
felt
whether
confident enough financially to even be in the mix for.
I mean, that was a question that I had. Is like, where were you finding all this money mid-season when, the NIL budget has presumably already been spent? I mean, that's an issue I think for other
There's
schools.
always money in the NIL stand.
uh, it was reported. I'm trying to figure out who reported this. That some of this was Matt Norlander had the report that multiple of the teams that were listed in this original Trenton Flowers report said they were not in fact interested in him and had no idea how this could come up. So that could have included UW, but it would make sense if they were looking to add a wing, knowing that Wesley Yates is going to be the lad of the lineup for at least a period of time and perhaps the remainder of the season.
Okay, well, that definitely is unfortunate news though about
Yeah.
Wesley Yates.
I mean,
Huskies were counting on the season, and
someone who the Huskies were counting on the season and someone who already missed a season at UW due to injuries. Like, it's been a bit of a star-crossed career, particularly when he's been at UW for Wesley Yates. But yeah, in particular, the shooting is the element that they are really dependent now on Kimari Peterson to make threes, and that has not always happened. Bryson Tucker hasn't had the same impact that he had beginning the year as a starter since he came back from his ankle sprain. Huskies going to need him because they just don't have a lot of small forward-sized players on the roster now. Or they do, but they don't have much experience.
As we head to proper Big Ten play, UW is 9-4.
Yep.
1-1 already in the Big Ten, but that's not the real conference season. Now they're in the real conference season. Where do things stand for UW overall within regards to the Big Ten, possibly the NCAA tournament? Are these things that are even realistic to hope for at this point? Is this one of the toughest conference seasons on the higher end that UW has ever played in?
Oh yeah, without question.
Because it's been a long time since the Pac-10, Pac-12. I mean, they obviously have been very good Pac-10, Pac-12 seasons throughout history, but it's been a while since it was this deep.
I mean, I just don't think it'd be possible for a 12-team league to be this deep. I mean, I guess the Big 12 might argue that point. But, I mean, Michigan is number 1 in KenPom. Purdue is number 4. Illinois is number 9. There are 3 other teams in the top 25, so 20% of the top 25. Now, the good news is, there is a bottom tier. And the even better news is the Huskies are no longer part of that bottom tier, at least by KenPom standards. They are, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams rated 74 and lower, one of which happens to be Oregon, who they get to play twice. So
hello.
I will caution that Oregon has a tendency under Dana Altman to start slowly and then pick up steam as the season goes on. So whether the Huskies would actually be favored in those 2 games is another question. So it's not like it's. And I don't think any of their losses is bad enough that that's going to rule you out of the NCAA tournament, certainly. Colorado went 10-3. They lost at home to Northern Colorado, which wasn't great. Seattle U had a loss the other day at home to USF, which
did they? The Seattle U loss was pretty deflating.
It's definitely their worst loss. Seattle U did then beat Washington State by 14. So if Seattle U can take a game off the Zags, who they now face twice a year in conference play, or just for this season, I guess, since Gonzaga's headed to the Pac-12 after this, then they could declare themselves state champions because they also beat Eastern by 27.
That'd be kind of fun for Seattle U.
It would be very fun for Seattle U.
And they play tomorrow night too.
Yeah, that is coming right up quickly. So I'm checking out where are they in terms of wins above bubble. They are currently minus 0.4 wins above bubble, which ranks 70th in barttorvik.com. So, again, it's not inconceivable if they had a good conference run that they could put themselves right in the mix for an NCAA.
Basically, any Big Ten team that has a good conference run is able to be there. Is there a number? Sure. Is it 10-8, something like that?
Oh, I think 10-8 would for sure get you in. Okay. I mean, also that would be, I guess, in the remaining games because they play 20. So
okay,
I think if you go 500 in conference play, KenPom has 9-11 as the average finish. If they go 500, they're going into the Big Ten tournament with is a bubble team. I would say the conference is that good. The issue is just, do we think they can pull that off if Wesley Yates III is out an extended period of time and possibly the entire season, just losing that production. They will presumably at some point get back Jacob Ignacevich, and they'll be curious to see how they deploy him since he's kind of more of a four, as I understand it, and so is Hannes Steinbach. But maybe they try to throw him out there at the three because he did shoot the three well last season, particularly against some of these bigger, slower Big Ten teams. Maybe that's something that could be a consideration.
Okay, so I'm trying to get to 10 here. They're already at 1 right now.
Yes.
Is hosting Oregon 2. Then there's this run. Penn State is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, possibly, which is hosting Penn State, hosting Minnesota, at Maryland, at Rutgers, hosting Wisconsin.
It is weird that all of their the easiest conference games are
in that one chunk.
2-week span.
And then at Oregon that's 9, is that right? Something like that. So they kind of need to pick off 1 or 2 games against good teams.
Yeah.
Ohio State is another one.
I mean, obviously they need to pick off games against good teams, but they also need to not drop games against these
exactly
weaker teams.
If they win every game that they are they probably will be favored in by Ken Palm. They probably could get to 10-10. There's somewhere around there, a window of 10-10. I don't know about at Maryland or something like that's going to be a hard game no matter what, but and same with like chalking up both the Oregon games as wins is probably difficult. There are 10 winnable games on the schedule. Same with hosting USC is a winnable game. Hosting Iowa is probably a winnable game. Like,
I mean, USC is one of the games they're favored in.
What else? And obviously they've beaten USC on the road. What are they favored in right now? You said Ken Palm has them at 8-12 or 9-11.
Has them at 9-11 overall. And this does not always work out this way, but they are favored in 8 of their remaining games. So that's okay. Versus Ohio State, as you mentioned, then versus Oregon, and then not again until the 6 consecutive games.
The Penn State, Minnesota, Maryland, Rutgers, Wisconsin, USC run.
Yes.
Oregon.
And then at Oregon is essentially 50-50 right now, but they are not favored.
So this is also the type of season that I think will require some cautioning of it's going to get easier if things are looking bleak early on. And I do think the one thing the committee cares about is they don't give a shit how the schedule looks, right? But they will notice if UW has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row, something like that. All of a sudden, it'll be like the team has momentum going forward. More than the reality is it probably would be schedule related momentum, but it could look as though the team has gotten better at that point.
Right. And yes, it's going to be rough right from the start because the Huskies, the best rated team in Ken Palm they've played thus far this season is Baylor, who is number 30. 3 of their next 4 opponents are better than that. 2 of them in the top 5 teams in the country.
I don't see Indiana as a guaranteed loss for what it's worth.
Probably not. They're 10-3 under first-year head coach Darian DeVries. Started 7-0 before a bad loss at Minnesota in that early part of conference play. Also lost to Kentucky and Louisville. Have yet to beat anyone ranked above UW, though their power conference wins have been just blowouts. Their stout defense ranks 7th in opponent EFG percentage, so that's going to be a concern for UW. They're led by Sam Houston State transfer Lamar Wilkerson, who's averaged 19 points per game, and then DeVries' son Tucker, who is an NBA prospect and a really versatile wing player, are their best players. I mean, this is also a situation where, you're going to one of the most legendary spots in college basketball, where this will be their first conference visit to Assembly Hall in Bloomington.
Let me ask you, so ESPN Matchup Predictor has the Michigan game. It's 85%. They're ranked number 2. Michigan State, who has 1 loss in the season, they only have that at 60%. Is Michigan 25% better than Michigan State? Or is there something about, I don't know how the matchup predictor works, but is there something about that matchup that they just like UW better in that game?
No, Michigan is that much better.
Michigan is just unstoppable.
Their adjusted net rating on Ken Palm is 4 points higher than anyone else in the country. There was a stretch here. Let me tell you the stretch. So this is starting in the tournament in Vegas, the players, whatever the players era tournament, 102-72 win over Auburn, who's number 34. in Ken Palm. 101-61 win over Gonzaga. 101-60 win over Rutgers, who is not good. 89-61 win over Villanova. And then they only won by 18 over Maryland in their other conference game. They have played two close games all season. They lost. They beat
Gonzaga by 40.
They beat Gonzaga by 40. I mean, that's the biggest, the most notable win in that one. I mean, people were like very down in Gonzaga, and then it turned out like, no, it's not about Gonzaga. Adjusted efficiency in the country. Defense, number 1 by a considerable margin. Offense, number 5. They are number 1 in effective field goal percentage. They are number 1 in opponent effective field goal percentage. Michigan is like the meanest team in recent NCAA memory.
I kind of like it. Okay.
Led by second-year coach Dusty May, who I think we talked about a little bit.
UW in the context. That game.
It would be a pretty bold prediction if you said UW was going to win that game.
Would it be? Is this the hardest regular season game that UW has maybe played in how long? Decades.
When is the last time UW faced a number 1 team? Probably one of the Gonzaga teams would have been number 1 at the time they played them. Michigan, I don't believe are they actually number 1 in the country? No, because Arizona keeps.
But I'm talking about in Ken Palm. We're talking about the real stats, not fucking the polls.
I know. Let me see at the times that they. Well, I guess I got to go to the UW schedule at the times that they played Gonzaga. Were they number 1 at any point?
And there's also, from your description, there's degrees of number 1.
Right. Baylor was number 2 at the time of their season opener in 2020-21 during the COVID season, which the Huskies lost by 34 points. And then Gonzaga was number 2 when they came into Heck Ed in December 2019. During, I believe, was that the greatest Seattle sports weekend?
Oh God, that might have been. Wait, what year was that?
December 2019. Gonzaga won 80. It was a competitive game. Gonzaga won.
No, it was earlier.
It was 2 years earlier.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was definitely.
Yes. Oh, because it was the week that UW won in Kansas City against Kansas.
Yes.
In Mike Hopkins' first season, but then lost by 27 to a Gonzaga team that was not as good. So anyway, that Gonzaga team that the Huskies were competitive with in 2019 was number 2. They also beat Baylor, who was ranked number 3 going into that game, the season opener. Gonzaga was number 2 in December 2018 when they played a 2-point game in Spokane that I think was infamous for the wide stance from Sam Timmons on an illegal screen offensive foul. Those are the most recent like elite teams that they've played. Gonzaga was number 1 when they played each other in December 2016, which I think was the year the series resumed.
So this might be the best team they played in a decade. I think it is probably, because also your description is none of those teams have been number 1, but also that Michigan is not just number 1; they are number 1 by margin.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get more information about them. I mean, that Gonzaga team that they lost to in 2016-17 when that series resumed, went 37-2 and lost the national championship game to North Carolina.
Does Ken Palm have them favored in every single Big Ten game?
Michigan?
Yeah.
Probably not. Let me take a look.
Because that would be also, I mean, we'll talk about them next week, obviously. But starting things off,
it does have them favored in every Big Ten game, the closest being at Purdue, where they are 1-point favorites.
Obviously, this Indiana game to start off the season, where UW is at, the non-conference play hasn't been great. It's been fine so far. They've put themselves in a position where they haven't helped themselves with regard to the NCAA tournament, but they haven't taken themselves out of it. It's kind of the best that you can say about it so far. And some of the things that we thought preseason haven't exactly come true. Hannah Steinbach is great, though. And it does look like a deep roster. Shooting is still an issue. Kwamari Peterson, I assume we wanted more of Kwamari Peterson. And the Wesley Yates injury has been bad. So right now things are fine, but UW has a few opportunities to sneak into the NCAA tournament, or at the very least be in the conversation. And I think that's kind of...
Yeah, they haven't taken themselves out of the mix. And that's a good thing, because there's obviously been a lot of years where they have taken themselves out of the mix. I would say it does feel to me like broadly, it's like the same kind of team that has been for a lot of the last... Do you know how long it's been since the Huskies made the NCAA? There was the one appearance, obviously, under Hopkins.
18, right?
19.
19. Okay.
They've made it one time in the past 15 years. It's truly appalling for a program of this caliber, which has
I mean,
spent a lot of money on players.
It's affected the fan base too. Like I don't think there's a deep fan base around UW. And especially given how good high school basketball has been in the area, especially considering how much you hate all the players that come out of Seattle.
I
But
like Matisse Thybulle.
they haven't been able to build the kind of program because of that. And, it felt like something that it's been since obviously Lorenzo Romar that they were able to.
Yeah.
They need this. They need a little bit of a run.
It would be very helpful,
right
especially
now.
as we've talked about in the event that the NBA expansion is coming. This is a big moment because if you can't draw fans when their Sonics aren't an alternative, it would be much harder when they are.
And I think the thing about Tyron Stokes, I know there was that story about how maybe he wasn't a cultural fit at UW. What was the story in general?
I didn't read the story.
He's not even like
he's not.
They're not even listed
interest.
as having offered him. They are just not in the conversation at all, which it's a little surprising to me. I think it's maybe a hint of a miss by Danny Sprinkle that they haven't even tried, and maybe they have, and they've just been completely rebuked.
I don't know if they officially offered Paolo Banchero. It wasn't like they weren't interested in Paolo Banchero. It's just like he wasn't coming.
I mean, he has a crystal ball to Kentucky, so I would assume he's going to end up there. And as long as he doesn't end up at the other school, then I'm fine.
Well, that school's in the mix. Wait, which school are we talking about?
Not Gonzaga. I'm not talking about Gonzaga.
We're talking about Oregon?
Yeah.
I assumed. All right. Well, this road trip also includes Purdue, who is, again, number 4 in KenPom. They're 12-1. Their lone loss came at home to Iowa State in a showdown of top 5 KenPom teams. They've got multiple blowout wins over likely NCAA tournament teams. This is just kind of a machine at this point under Matt Painter. It's a slightly different look, even though they do have the super tall guy on the roster this year. He is not a prominent part of their rotation in the way that Zach Edey was for a long period of time. Who is their super tall guy? Oh, Daniel Jacobson, who plays 41% of their minutes and is 7'4". But they start Trey Kaufman-Renn, who's one of the nation's better big men at 6'9", and then alongside a former Cougar who I do not remember at all from his time at Washington State, named Oscar Clough, who's from Australia and has emerged as an NBA prospect this year. Both Clough and Kaufman-Renn are in the top 10 in the country in offensive rebounding. We've talked about Braden Smith, who is pretty much the consensus best veteran player in the country, making 40% of his threes, has the nation's 4th best assist rate. The Purdue shoots 40% on threes as a team, as difficult as that is to imagine for a UW fan. Yeah, so this is a game where if they can even be competitive playing in West Lafayette, that would be a really impressive result for the Huskies.
Okay. So, I mean, the hope from this week is you pray for 1-1.
A split would be amazing.
Be in a very good position in the conference if they even split, to be honest.
Without question. UW football. Do you want to talk about the college football playoff?
Not really. I have nothing to say about it.
No,
I do. I will say I have nothing to say about Oregon.
It legitimately made me feel better watching the Texas Tech offense against Oregon's defense. Like maybe the Oregon defense is meaner than we realized.
Your arguments were so stupid to begin with that I didn't take any. What you were saying. Your whole argument revolved around preparedness or something like stupid. That has not actually been that big of an issue
necessarily. I mean, it
has not been that big of an issue since a year ago.
I
think Baron Morton just isn't very good. I wanted to actually look up his QBR.
I mean, it had to be pretty good if their overall offensive efficiency was in the same ballpark as UW's.
He's number 30 in QBR, which is not that much worse than Damon Williams, but for a quarterback playing in the playoffs, it's pretty bad.
Yes.
They're not a good enough offensive team. Texas Tech. And it went to show it was kind of.
But if they're not a good enough offensive team and they were as good overall as UW, doesn't that mean that therefore UW is not a good enough offensive team?
Yeah. That was the entire point that I made after the game, was it takes years to build this with the program. And that's what Joey McGuire had been doing at Texas Tech to even get them to this place, right? But there's a difference. Texas Tech is probably a playoff team in the Big Ten, but they're not a guaranteed playoff team in the Big Ten. And I think that is something that bowl season, if I want to talk about not the playoff itself, but bowl season has shown the Big Ten is pretty fucking good. And I think that there are people, some of them are your employer, in fact, who would like to express the continued argument that the SEC is by far the best conference. This bowl season, it is frustrating that this happens over and over and over again. And somehow UW has managed to be in this conference that is the underrated conference. But like making it through a Big Ten schedule is really hard. You're seeing right now, as we are watching this, I mean, Indiana's number one team in the country, no arguments, but like they're manhandling Alabama. Indiana went on the road and manhandled the team that just crushed Texas Tech. And that same team had a hard time with Iowa as well. You know, like I think the Big Ten schedule it's just a really difficult schedule to get through across the board.
I don't know if I would go so far as to say manhandled, but certainly the Alabama offense is not getting much going. Yeah, the top 3 teams in FPI are now all Big Ten teams.
It is
one of them being Ohio State, who is.
But it's also
the playoff.
And granted, Ohio State lost that game to Miami. I think it was an impressive game to Miami. It was a game where until the very end, I still expected Ohio State to win. And I think Julian Sayin is just probably not as good as some of the quarterbacks that they've had in the past. But like, I think overall the takeaway should be that the Big Ten has been underrated because a lot of these teams had a hard time breaking the top 25. Right? Iowa has had a hard time breaking the top 25. Illinois has had a hard time breaking the top 25, and then went out and beat what were considered to be good SEC teams who hovered around 10 to 20 the entire season. So I don't know. It's a little frustrating, I guess, across the board.
I mean, FPI would say that USC is the one Big Ten team that has really been underrated. I mean, I guess UW, by not being ranked, would be underrated as well. But USC, who did they end up winning? Then they lost that bowl game, right?
Not.
Yeah, they blew the lead.
They did not.
I knew they
would be frustrated with somebody process-wise. Might be more of that coach. Also, just lost their defensive coordinator to another Big Ten team.
I didn't say I wasn't. Didn't say I wasn't. I mean, I think the other thing that makes me feel better is that, you know, what happened with Adam Muhammad and Raiden Vinesbright was not symptomatic of subsequent departures. I mean, we'll see the period to submit notifications of transfer has still not technically opened. I believe it's tomorrow, right? That it opens. But the only reported notification of transfer for the Huskies since we last recorded 10 days ago was backup tackle Maximus McCree, who had been listed as a senior all along by the Huskies, but does have avenues to additional eligibility in this modern time where eligibility is a construct. And someone who filled in for an injured Carver Willis after starting at left tackle 5 games in 2024 when healthy, but with Cody Green's arrival, did not project as a starter for the Huskies next year. So even if, you know, they knew he planned to pursue additional years, it kind of made sense that there would be better opportunities for him than UW.
I just also, the Adam Muhammad thing, I mean, we don't know what kind of feedback people are getting as well. Like there was a Sark quote, which I think is, it goes along with my priors of the types of agents that are existing in college football right now. It's going to become formalized over time. It's not going to be as crazy of a system as it is. Like legit agents from legit agencies are going to enter the system and turn it closer to what the NFL looks like, which will be a good thing as much as people want to balk at the idea of agents. But like bigger players are going to have more legit agents having these conversations on their behalf who have better relationships with the schools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That's probably true.
We don't know what type of offers Adam Muhammad has, but for a running back, and I think the Quintravian Wisner entering the portal with Texas as their number one running back, Texas has money, right? They have to consider, the report was he wanted $1 million. And do you want to spend that kind of money? Because there's always a budget. Despite there always being more NIL money in the banana stand, there is always a budget. And this is what I was saying to you about Adam Muhammad, is Adam Muhammad that much better than Jordan Washington, who said he's coming back, than Brian Bonner, that you're willing to spend an extra $500,000.
I don't think Jordan
$750,000.
Washington is the right comparison because I don't think they're complementary styles. Brian Bonner is the one who, if they chose someone over him, it's him. And then, we'll see if they add a veteran.
But is it an offensive lineman that you're like, we can have Adam Muhammad or we can have an offensive lineman?
I hope that's the approach that Jed Fish is taking.
Or is it an extra $750,000, $1 million on a pass rusher? And I'm like, every single day, I would rather have almost every other position on the field than a running back. And that's what I said to you last week. And I still think that's true. I
don't disagree with that, even though, again,
if the Raiders want to draft Ashton Jeanty in the top 10, let them. Please be my guest to do that. And that's kind of what this is with Adam Muhammad. He's a running back. Like, your argument that it's that different. Good God, Indiana's good. I'm very happy about there being a rematch next week, most likely. But this is also goes to show there's going to probably be a college football playoff semifinal that is just Big Ten versus Big Ten.
Yep. And it could easily have been 3 out of 4.
And so that doesn't
of the 4 favorites in the quarterfinals, 3 were from the Big Ten.
The only reason it sucks is because I like Adam Muhammad. He probably would have had a good year, but beyond that, I'm nonplussed about it. I don't think it shows anything about Jed and how they're approaching it. In fact, to me, it shows a positive about Jed and how they're approaching the portal. We'll see, though. It's coming. It's coming very, very soon. The portal opens tomorrow, I believe.
Yes. That is the what I said earlier.
And they have a roster that is deep and young with a great recruiting class coming in, and 4 to 5 players can make a pretty huge difference in the portal. They're getting back Jacob Bonu. They're getting back Budo. Like, those are players that are important players across the board. They need finding a cornerback. They need to find some secondary help. They need more pass rush. You always need linemen.
They could use some experience in the cornerback. I guess Dylan Robinson is one spot.
There's only one
another starter
right now. Yeah, they need a second starter.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap up by previewing the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers with the number 1 spot in the NFC on the line. One thing I do want to say going into this game is I think there is a sense that, people are talking about the stats basically sort of on who's made the Super Bowl since they went to the 1 wild card format. And I think there is a danger in drawing too much from these smaller samples. Like, obviously, with the 1 wild card, getting that 1 spot becomes even more important because, as a fun fact, you never lose when you have a bye. But, which is the thing that, like, oh no, the bye is making teams rusty, which weirdly, Indiana doesn't seem rusty right now. Weird. The people are kind of treating it definitively as like the Seahawks have no chance of making the Super Bowl if they end up in the wild card. I think a lot of people are like, this game will swing things, and it's a huge percentage thing.
It will swing things.
It will swing things, but it won't determine things. There was a long period of time, I think, that people have forgotten in the 2000s where wild card teams made the Super Bowl at an unsustainable rate. Most notably, you think about that Giants championship, maybe both Giants Super Bowl wins, but certainly them beating the Patriots was a situation where they were not that great a regular season team, and just everything came together with, I think, 3 road wins, if I recall correctly. And people drew
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would be a neutral.
Yeah.
People drew broad conclusions from that period of time, and then there went through a stretch where the top 2 seeds dominated and typically went to the Super Bowl. And these things are going to swing back and forth dramatically over time. So that's it. I guess they were not a wild card team in 2011. They did win the NFC East, but played on the road subsequent to that.
So your argument is this isn't that big of a game?
No, my argument is that it's not definitive. The season's not going to be decided.
Okay, let's say we're talking about it percentage chances of making the Super Bowl right now. Like
in 2011, the 2011-12 season where the Giants won their second Super Bowl, they won the wild card round 24-2 against the Atlanta Falcons. You don't see that often.
Is the percentage chance of making the Super Bowl, if you're the 1 seed, is it 40% or is it lower than that?
That's probably about 40%, I would say.
And if you lose this game, if you're the 5 seed, it's probably something like 15%. I mean, it's a significant percentage.
Oh, it
Just
is. Without
thinking about
question. Again, I
those
just
two.
I just want to
It's
say
not
that there's a
impossible.
path.
Sure, of course there's a path.
Particularly now that the Seahawks know that they would be the 5 seed with a loss because of the Rams loss.
So just okay, playing out the next couple of weeks, right? Then if they're the 5 seed, round 1 is the Panthers.
Or the Buccaneers.
You would probably assume are the Bears locked in for the 2, or that's still to be figured out between the Eagles and the Bears?
Let me double check on that. Oh, I assumed you were going to fill there, but
No, I'm just
didn't.
pulling it up myself, actually.
And no, that is still to be determined. Those teams both have 11-5 records.
But who do the Bears have this weekend?
Do they have the Vikings?
They host the Lions.
Okay.
But the Lions have nothing to play for. So let's just say it's Chicago, right? But the Rams, I'd probably take them against the Eagles in that situation. So then in round 2, the Niners, let's say that the Packers lose to the Bears, right? In round 2, you play the Panthers. Round 2 after that, then you get the Bears. Is that right? If they beat the Panthers, if the Rams also keep winning.
Correct. It would be determined by the Rams. Yes.
And then the Rams have to go at San Francisco, which, like, I wouldn't say it's impossible for the Seahawks to have a home NFC Championship game also, I guess, in that scenario.
I would agree.
As well, which does sway things. There are some scenarios. If the Seahawks have to end up going at Philadelphia, I think that is a very difficult game. Do I think they could beat the Bears on the road? I think they would probably be favored maybe in a game against the Bears on the road.
I think so. Shocked. They're favored at San Francisco. I mean, granted, you've got the weather element.
With the amount of because Vegas has been fairly down on the Seahawks this year, and how
they were a little slow, which I think was fair given priors coming into the season, but pretty consistently lately it's been the Rams and then them in Ben Baldwin's metrics.
I mean, they're pretty. Vegas is aware of how good these two teams are, so the idea that neither of them would be the number 1 seed in the NFC, I think, would be kind of an anomaly. But I think probably either of them are favored in almost any game. But having to go at Philadelphia, something like that makes me nervous across the board. At Carolina, it's a victory.
It's not a victory. No, it is definitely not a victory. We've talked about these scenarios where
I know
highly favored road team versus like below 500. We were there. We saw it. We were on the below 500 division champion side.
I'd be feeling pretty good about that one.
It's certainly a big difference, 5 or 6, which is why it was important that the Rams lost.
But okay, let me give you another scenario. I guess maybe this is to your favor, which is they get a bye. Round 2, it could be the Rams coming to town.
Could easily. Rams or Niners, both strong possibilities.
No, they shouldn't try to lose this game.
They should not try to lose this game. Again, getting the bye is the single most important thing.
The round 2 matchup for the number 1 team is probably going to be more difficult than the round 2 matchup for the number 2 team, right?
Yes, unless Green Bay also pulls an upset.
Which they could. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about.
But it'd be a good year to be able to draft your opponent.
In the NFC playoffs, the teams that scare me in order are the Rams, the Niners, the Eagles, the Packers, the Bears, the Panthers, or Bucks, something like that.
Bears offense looked pretty good, I guess, on Sunday. The question is how much of that was the San Francisco 49ers defense.
But I do still think it's like a 20+% chance difference of making the Super Bowl.
Oh, without question.
Something like that when you're losing this game.
It's as big as a regular season game can possibly be in terms of Super Bowl odds, I guess is what I would say.
It is really mostly about, I just think that the Rams can beat them anywhere. And I think that they can beat the Rams anywhere as well. And I think that the Seahawks can beat any other team in other place.
There is now no scenario where they could play at the Rams.
Yes. But I think the Rams can come into Seattle and win that game.
And I think the Seahawks... Really and I agree that the Seahawks could beat any NFC team on the road.
So it doesn't guarantee anything, but I do think it's a pretty huge difference. And it really, honestly, seeing what happens in this game will influence my perspective of just how good the Seahawks are, because it does feel like if they're not able to beat the 49ers, maybe they're not able to beat all of these teams anywhere. But if they are able to beat the 49ers on the road in this crucial matchup, then all of a sudden I look at it and it's like the Rams are the only team that can be competitive with us.
I don't know if I go that far. Weird stat. This is only the second time in Seahawks history that they have begun and ended the season against the same opponent, having previously done so in 1995 versus Kansas City. And it's a week longer in between these games. I mean, week one was so long ago.
It is so easy to forget in an NFL season just how long an NFL season, how teams transform through an NFL season. That team that played in week one, like I would take nothing from it.
I don't know if I would take nothing from it, but when these two teams last played, the Seattle Mariners had not won a division championship in 24 years. That's how long ago it was.
I just think it's a really, really different team on both sides. They're very, very different teams.
I don't know if I would say it's a really, really different team. I mean, I think the Seahawks are different in one key respect, but they flipped that switch in week two. And we'll talk about why we'll discuss that switch. So Niners injuries have been a huge storyline coming out of that game. George Kittle was injured had a hamstring strain in that one, sat out the next 5 games. Brock Purdy finished the game, but played just one of their next 9 games due to injuries. Then subsequently, they lost Nick Bosa to an ACL tear in September, Fred Warner to a dislocated and fractured ankle in October. Those were 2 of the 3 returning defensive starters from the start of the 2024 season, so that's a pretty significant transformation. And despite Mac Jones playing pretty well in a fill-in role for Purdy, they were 6-4 after their loss to the Rams on November 9th, a game and a half back of both the Seahawks and Rams. But then we talked about it on the 2025 bold predictions. That easy schedule for the Niners, like for 10 weeks, it was not the case. They actually played an extremely difficult schedule for their first 10 games. The last 6 games have been remarkably easy. They played one playoff team in the span, that being the Bears on Sunday Night Football last week, and have won 6 in a row.
The Panthers are also probably more or less a playoff team, or could be a playoff team at the very least.
Was that in the stretch?
In the last 6 weeks?
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah. Okay. One above
and I will
500
say, at Browns is not as easy of a game as it seems.
I suppose.
I mean, they had less yards per play than the Browns had in that game, for what it's worth.
It's still like to your point about when you're ranking the easier games, think about some of the games the Seahawks have won. Like at Atlanta is probably a harder game than at Cleveland.
Absolutely not. I do not buy that.
What? I agree the Browns defense is good.
A very difficult game.
We have this measure. It's called the record. We have other advanced measures.
What is the DVOA Atlanta Falcons versus Cleveland Browns?
All right, hold on. Let me go dig
I'm gonna
that
look
up.
stupid on this one.
I agree that you're going to look stupid on this one.
It's just because they beat the Rams. I'm curious what it was. Well,
the Browns have a minus 102 point differential on the season. I mean, I grant that Carolina at minus 67. Oh, okay. Because they're playing in such a hard division. Is that the explanation?
Fascinated where they are, team. I bet they're like 1 or 2 spots away from each other.
They are 6 spots away from each other.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm sorry. We're talking about Atlanta, not Carolina. They're 12 spots away from each other. Atlanta's low-key good. They're 18th in DVOA. Cleveland is 30th.
They're 30th in DVOA?
Yeah, they're number 5 in defense. They're number 32 in offense, number 32 in special teams.
Wow. Okay,
and there are only 32 teams.
All right. The Browns are worse than I thought.
Did Shedeur play in that game? They may have been somewhat better with Shedeur
in that game.
Yeah. So the Niners have only lost 1 Brock Purdy start this season, which was week 4 when he came back from the injury against what is looking like an increasingly formidable Jacksonville team, and threw 2 picks in a 26-21 loss where they had 4 turnovers as a team. Purdy has the highest QBR of his career, largely because his sack rate is down 50% from the previous 3 seasons. That's interesting in the context of Trent Williams leaving Sunday's game early. I believe that was also a hamstring injury. Still sacked just once in that game. So they were able to overcome the loss of Trent Williams, but certainly something that's going to be a big talking point heading into this one against the Seahawks defense. Yeah, that was a hamstring injury. Purdy really cooking the last 3 weeks. He's completed 74% of his passes for 9.2 yards per attempt. He's number one overall this season in adjusted EPA per play per RBSDM.com. He has a career low in yak per reception without Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel. So this is more of Purdy, the degree to which he was like a yak merchant was probably always overstated, especially with their success on third down. But this season has definitely not been the case. Without those guys, their pass game has been really dependent on Christian McCaffrey, who's closing in on 100 catches, averaging 7.3 yards per target. Very good for a running back, especially a veteran running back. Juwan Jennings leads the receivers with 51 catches for 608 yards. Kendrick Bourne and Ricky Pearsall have been their most productive receivers on a per target basis. And Kittle has 52 catches in just 10 games at 9.7 yards per target. He missed last week's win with an ankle sprain, but said he told reporters he expects to play this week. Without him, Pearsall had 5 catches for 85 yards against the Bears. And week one hero against the Seahawks, Jake Tonjes, had 7 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. Although Jake Tonjes' overall stats are not all that good. Niners just 14th in rushing success rate and 11th in EPA per play. This is a pretty big difference where it really is the pass and not the run that's working for them offensively. Christian McCaffrey's 3.9 yards per carry, his lowest since he was traded to San Francisco. Brian Robinson Jr. has been somewhat more effective in a change-up role, but don't expect to see a lot of him. I mean, the real reason that this team is not as fearsome as it could be is this defense, which ranks 27th in DVOA. They're average defending the run, but 24th in opponent EPA per dropback before accounting for the schedule. And even during this winning streak, they've only been averaged on defense, giving up 452 yards to Jacoby Brissett and 330 last week to Caleb Williams.
Where are they at in DVOA overall, San Francisco?
Not as high as you might think. I mean, they're higher in weighted DVOA where they're 7th, but they're 9th.
They're about where I would think for what it's worth. And I mean, I think just looking back at some of these games.
I mean, they're a team that has a chance to win the division that features 2 of the top 10 teams all time in DVOA.
I mean, what is their turnover differential? Like, is there a smoke? Is something happening that I'm not seeing, or is it just the schedule? Because looking back on some of these games, it's a little difficult to even understand how this is happening.
Which part of it? Them being 12-4, or them not rating that well?
Them being 12-4, because it's like yards per play wise, the Browns were better than them. They were better than the Rams. The Bears, they were slightly better than the Bears, but it's like these are really, really close. The Panthers were better yards per play. The Titans were better yards per play. The Colts were worse. And the Cardinals were way better yards per play, like 1.5 yards better than the 49ers. I mean, basically, anytime they've played against a bad team, they've been worse or significantly worse yards per play than those teams. And I think it's something that, and they've won a lot of those games comfortably. So maybe it's a Seahawks thing where it's like they've gotten up early and then these teams have been able to gain a bunch of yards after that. Maybe that's it. Or maybe they're just extremely fucking lucky.
They are even in terms of yards per play and have forced fewer turnovers than their opponents this season.
They're even overall on the season yards per play wise.
Yes.
Offense.
But again, DVOA accounts for all of that in a better way and has
even is not
9th
good.
overall.
The Seahawks, I assume, are way, way, way better than even yards.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah. I'm saying DVOA accounts for that and has them 9th and 7th in terms of weighted
They're
DVOA.
Probably the 9th best team in the league. Maybe in that range of 7th, but like is Houston ahead of them?
Houston is ahead of them.
And is Jacksonville ahead of them also?
Oh, Jacksonville's number 3 in weighted DVOA, behind only the Seahawks and Rams.
So wait, who are the top 10? Who have we played from the top 10, I guess?
In DVOA overall, the Seahawks have played the Rams twice, the Colts, the Texans, the Jaguars, and the Niners.
Wow, look at the AFC South.
Yeah. It's not your dad's AFC South.
But they've played a couple of these teams already who are teams that are statistically better than the Niners and have won them comfortably. And I do look at this and I'm like, how did we get to this point? And I guess it's basically just the Niners have kept winning games, right? But
that is how you improve your record, by continuing to win games.
So tell us about the Niners defense, I guess.
Yeah, they tend to allow a lot of short completions. Their opponents are completing passes the 6th highest rate against them, but for just 10.3 yards per completion, which is 5th lowest. Their biggest issue here is an anemic pass rush without Bosa. Their sack rate is 50% lower than the second lowest team, that being Baltimore. The difference is large as it is between the Ravens and the Bears, were 11th in the stat. They also have the second lowest interception rate with 6 all season, which is probably a case where they've been somewhat unlucky, I would say. Bryce Huff and Cleveland Farrell are tied for the team lead for with 4 sacks. And if you look at their point yards allowed per play on a weekly basis, 3 of their 4 lowest came in the 3 weeks before the Bosa injury, where the Seahawks actually had the highest yards per play against them in a game that Bosa finished. But Bosa obviously made the biggest play of that game, a strip sack with the Seahawks driving for the possible go-ahead touchdown. And if you look at the Seahawks offense versus the 49ers defense going back to that last game, what stands out as completely perplexing is that they ran play action twice. 4.4% of their dropbacks. Haven't been below 13% in the game since. And that game, which was the Vikings game, was the only other time they've been lower than 1/6 of their dropbacks being play action. So it was basically 4 times fewer in the Niners game than their 3rd lowest this season. Like, they just forgot play action.
In week 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they hadn't figured it out yet.
They ran it in the preseason.
I don't know what happened in that game. I think they thought that they were a different team than they were.
I don't know which team doesn't want to run play action.
Well, it doesn't matter. We've already complained about this. We complained about that back in September.
I know. I mean, I'm not.
It's January. It's a whole new year. We don't have to complain about that game anymore.
I'm not upset about it. I mean, I guess I am upset about it because one of the multiverses, they've already won the NFC West by winning that game.
Should show Mike McDonald a movie. I just don't think that this Niners team is good enough to.
I think you are insufficiently disrespectful to this Niners offense, which is, the Rams offense is the only offense in the NFL better than the Niners.
I'm that confident in the Seattle defense, I guess is what I'll say.
One thing I was curious about is, the Niners only scored 17 points in week 1. So it was like, did they shut down the Niners offensively? And the answer is they didn't. Purdy had really good stats. Like, they totally contained McCaffrey as a rusher. I do expect San Francisco to be pretty one-dimensional in this game, but that dimension is really fucking good.
I mean, also, Nicky Manwari got injured in that game. It was Ty Okada's coming straight off the bench. Like Drake Thomas hadn't played that much at that point. The team is different. It is a different team now than it had been.
Okay, but again, so are the Niners.
They're worse.
No, they're way better offensively. They were not the same offensively. They also played much of the game without George Kittle.
To the Mac Jones games as well, though. Like, they might have been this good offensively that whole time had Brock Purdy not been injured. But the Seahawks are I'm going to knock on wood, quite healthy heading into this game, especially defensively. You don't agree with that?
Charles Cross still not likely to play.
I think my concern is less for the Seahawks defense and less for the Niners just moving the ball against them, and really more about
the Niners have moved the ball against everyone.
No, I think the Seahawks defense is going to do very well against them. Can they take advantage? Is this offense good enough to take advantage of the Niners defense? But the lack of a pass rush and being able to get to, because we've seen it a lot, right? When Darnold is pressured, he's worse. Are they going to force him to make errors? Are they going to be up in his face? Or if he has time, Sam Darnold is clinical, right?
If you wanted to draw up a defense for Sam Darnold to excel against, it would look a lot like the 2025 post-injury San Francisco 49ers.
You would draw up these last 3 weeks where they gave up 24 points to the Titans, 27 to the Colts, 38 to the Bears. They have won this on offense. The Bears, the Colts,
because their offense is really good.
Yeah, but those teams don't have the kind of defense that the Seahawks have. Their offense has been really good against, I don't know where the Bears, Colts, and Titans rank defensively, but not that good.
No. I mean, particularly the Colts at this stage of the season are not the same.
I mean, this game against the Rams that they played where they lost by 16, was that Purdy or is that Mac Jones?
That was Mac Jones' last start.
Okay, but honestly, who's been better this year, statistically?
Purdy
by a lot.
Purdy has been arguably as good as any quarter. He's certainly been better than Stafford on a per play basis this season.
Now, that's kind of incredible.
He might lead the NFL in QBR. I don't know for sure about that.
The Christian McCaffrey carries are going nowhere, right? In that game, it was 12 for 30. And it really is going to be about the Rams just 42 points comfortably against this bad Niners defense. Granted, they were 6-4 at the time, and the Rams have been much better after that. But like Stafford, a pretty casual 280 yards and 4 touchdowns. Blake Corum and Kyron Williams both over 4 yards per carry. Like JSN's just going to be open. If you give Darnold time in this game, you don't want to get into a shootout with the Seahawks necessarily. It's just not going to happen though. Like you don't want to give the Seahawks touchdowns after touchdowns after touchdowns because you're not going to be able to score enough against this defense.
I agree with that, but I don't know that they're going to give. He would be number one if he qualified. He's technically not on the leaderboard, so Drake May is number one. But Matthew Stafford, who's probably going to win MVP, is nowhere close to Purdy.
Drake May is winning MVP.
We'll see.
I mean, I could pull up the odds right now, but Matt Stafford's not in the conversation.
I mean, obviously,
Matt Stafford is out of the MVP conversation. It's between, I think Josh Allen's out too. It's pretty much Drake May's to lose. I mean, Purdy is number 2 by RBSDM, and Mac Jones is number 9. It is a drop off, and I guess it's a relatively large drop off, but Mac Jones has been good also.
I said Mac Jones had played well. Purdy has played great.
This is the exact right profile of a team for the Seahawks to play. There's only one team in the league that can beat them. In the NFC, there's one team in the NFC that can beat the Seahawks.
That is not true. In an individual game, there are plenty of teams that can beat them, which is partially why
it's not a 100% chance of
why
victory.
This 49ers team did beat them.
But that was a different Seahawks team. This current iteration of the Seahawks right now, I'm skeptical about the entire AFC too, but in the NFC,
Charles Cross has now officially been ruled out.
I mean, that's another reason why the bye is going to be very, very important.
Kobe Bryant is doubtful. Josh Jones questionable as the other player on the injury report.
Okay.
The good news on Rashid Shaheed, who left last week's game with a concussion, which certainly exposed the Seahawks' lack of receiving options outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba.
They don't really have the right profile of a team to be. It's Saturday night. Anything can happen. The Seahawks are better. I'm fascinated to see Brock Purdy,
which is why they're favored on the road, but they're favored by 1.5 points.
It's also it is a smaller sample size for Brock Purdy than you're acknowledging too.
Okay, but Brock Purdy's been really good for a long period of time, so we should expect Brock Purdy to continue to be good. Certainly much longer than Sam Darnold, who was his backup.
Who are the best? Who does the best defense aside from the Seahawks?
Houston.
Where it's not Houston. That Brock Purdy played.
He has generally not played against the better defenses that they.
I mean, his QBR ended up being pretty good against the Browns because I think it gets adjusted quite a bit because of the Browns, but it's 168 yards on a 55% completion percentage.
You're not paying enough attention to the fact that he is not getting sacked at all and how meaningful that is.
I guess so. I mean, there's 1 last week, 2 against the Titans.
1 is a very small number.
Okay, what is it? Was
1 for Titans? 7 yards.
Where are the Titans defensively in DVOA?
I'm not looking up where every team is in DVOA.
Where are just the Titans? That's all I want to know.
I mean, they're probably 30th.
No, the Titans are good. A pretty good defensive team.
They are not. They are 29th.
They're 29th defensively?
Yes.
Holy shit. He's playing awful teams. I'm sorry, but you're vastly overrating Brock Purdy right now and the season that he's having.
I am showing appropriate fear, and you're failing to
take your appropriate fear. Have your appropriate fear. Look at that. Hosting the Jags, he came in, played 309 yards, 57% completion percentage, and they got 22 of 38. That's a Brock Purdy game. He is who we thought he was.
Not a Brock Purdy game. He's completed 70% of his passes in his career. What are you talking about?
Fine.
This is a nonsensical argument.
That is what this game is going to look like for Brock Purdy. How about that? Kyle Shanahan is able to do this. He
completed 74% of his passes in week 1.
It's not going to happen again.
Okay.
They're figuring it out. I do not stress about this game. In fact, the more that we talk about it, I'm even less stressed about it.
Well, the more that you talk about it, the more stressed I am about it because you
really?
Never see it coming. It's the same way you talked about the UW Oregon game.
This was UW number 1 in FPI?
No.
Okay. UW was number 20.
But what percentage chance
I
did
was
you give
saying
them
in
of
that
winning?
game, there's an avenue to win. We're favored in this game.
Slightly. By the smallest possible margin, they are favored to win.
63%.
50-50.
Ye of little faith.
Ye of appropriate fear.
Fine, have your appropriate fear, but you could see the profile of the game that I'm talking about. Can you not?
Yeah, but you could also see the profile of the game where Sam Darnold throws a terrible interception and that cost them the game.
I guess so, but I think the team overall, they play 4 quarters. You can't win the game in the first quarter. Have you heard?
I have heard that. Again, the Niners are going to score points.
I'm not saying the Niners aren't going to score points, but give me an over-under on Niners points the game. 27.5?
That's about what I was going to say, yeah.
Oh, it's easily under.
Over. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think if the Seahawks win it, it's something like 35-31, something in that range. I think it ends up similar to the Rams game in many regards, which, by the way, the Seahawks got pretty badly cooked by the Rams not that long ago.
Matt Stafford threw 20 incompletions. What are you talking about?
They scored 37 points.
They ran the ball for 3 yards per carry.
Okay,
they did not get that cooked in that game.
They gave up 457 yards passing.
They gave up the
what are
most
you
yards
about?
in franchise history.
It's just like
it was a good. These teams are not comparable though. You understand that.
The Rams
what
are
Sean McVay and the Rams are doing
better team than the
Sean McVay is better than Kyle Shanahan is.
I don't know if I'm
better
ready to say that.
You're not ready to say that? If they have anything close to what the Rams had, like this would be a much better team. And the Rams are just a better team overall.
I agree that the Rams have considerably more skill position talent at this stage.
They're a top 10 team all time.
Yeah, the Rams are a better team. But again, the point is the Seahawks defense, the difference between the Rams and the Niners is not about their offenses. It's about their defenses, and which is why I do think the Seahawks have a good shot at winning this game on the road.
Puka Nacua in this game either. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not even the skill, the talent just isn't there from the Niners. It's smoke and mirrors, and it's going to get exposed.
Smoke and mirrors based on your vibes, based on your advanced study.
No, based upon the DVOA, the yards they've given up, like the yards per play, all of these things, none of it favors the Niners. It's not like you look back and you're like, ooh, that doesn't
no one's saying that it favors the Niners. You know what favors the Niners? Being at fucking home favors the Niners.
But this game, the vibes that you're talking about, if this game was DVOA wise and the spread, the Seahawks are probably bigger favorites.
Maybe like 3.5 point favorites.
Like, honestly, the vibes that you're talking about have made this a closer game, but that's the record. It's the record that is the reason it's closer, not stats of any kind.
I think it is the Niners' offensive stats.
I guess so. I mean, they beat the Bears. They got not lucky to beat the Bears. They beat the Bears by 4 points on the last second play. The Seahawks are way better than the Bears are statistically.
But again, it's one game. That's what you're not understanding.
That's why it's not 100%. If they were playing a series of 100 games, it'd be 100%. This is the NBA. It'd be 100% chance.
It wouldn't be 100% chance.
Or it'd be much higher.
Sample.
It would be a much higher percent chance. I'm revising it. It's 68%. Taking an extra 5%.
You're going to be responsible for when they lose this game by jinxing it. You understand that, right?
Fine. You're going to be responsible for when they... you're actually pro losing, I think.
If they win, my conservatism is going to be responsible. Yes.
If they lose, I'm going to come back and argue about how this is actually a better path to the Super Bowl.
Oh, can't wait for that one. I don't know when we're going to be back next week because I'm in Portland through Thursday, but possibly post game on Saturday. We'll see. We'll see if events warrant.
I'm kind of looking forward to watching Husky basketball this next week.
Oh, there you go. A statement I never thought I'd hear. Why don't we watch more Husky men's basketball?
I like Big Ten play. Let's freaking go.
It's definitely interesting.
Let's wait until we're like one half into the game, but
it's, I was going to say it's not facing Colorado and Utah, but they've literally faced both of those teams, plus USC and UCLA. Yeah. They've really played a very Pac-12 schedule thus far.
Yeah, it's not that fun.
All right. Well, Happy New Year and go Hawks.
Thanks. I want to find MVP odds.
Stafford is second, and May is -295. So basically, the Patriots would have to lose this week. May's not even playing, is he? Are they locked in? No, I guess he has to play because they have seeding to play for.
Drake
So
May's winning it. Stafford's not winning.
it does seem likely that the Falcons' loss will cost Matt Stafford MVP.
I mean, they have some kind of brutal losses in there, which is a little strange considering they're our top 10 team ever, which is really the argument that you should be making, which is like,
That,
shit can just happen.
yeah. Sometimes who was penciling in a Rams loss at Atlanta last week?
But
Nobody.
the Rams defense is not as good as the Seahawks defense is.
I would agree. The Rams offense is also better than the Seahawks offense. So
maybe Matt Stafford is who we thought he was.
I don't know if I would go that far.
It might have turned midnight
But he's probably not the MVP.
for Matt Stafford. He's back to Matt.
He was never
After-
not Matt. You never acknowledged him as Matthew.
No, I think I might have acknowledged him as Matthew for a week or two.
No, I'm pretty sure you didn't.
But also,
we'll have to check the tapes.
I did Puka. The way that they limited Puka is incredible. But like Xavier Smith, had you ever heard of that person?
Yeah, because he caught a bunch of passes against the Seahawks. The week
yeah. See,
before.
that was the thing where, like, if I was watching on TV, I would have known who it was better. Yes.
He was throwing up the X after his catches.
Oh yeah. Okay. Fine.
But God forbid they can't stop Ricky Pierce. There's no chance that the Niners can complete a pass to Ricky Pearsall.
How good is Kurt Signetti?
Very good. Google him. He wins.
All right.
On that note,
Thanks. I feel like the best podcasts are the ones that happen while a sporting event is going on so that people can follow along at home.
they know in real time when we're recording it. It's currently nothing as we but record this before the pod, even though you're listening to it after the pod.
Who are you cheering for, by the way?
I think I generally would like Kalen DeBoer to be successful at Alabama, but also I just really want this narrative about, oh, teams can't win because of the one extra week of layoff to go away. So therefore, Indiana.
I'm seeing where Texas Tech's offense was 22nd in the country, which like
UW-esque.
Well, UW did better against Oregon than they did.
I agree.
Their special teams really just none of it freaking mattered. I just think Texas Tech's offense wasn't actually that good.
Fraudulent.
I mean, I see that they are one spot behind UW, but I just think UW's was actually way better than that. It was interesting. I mean, Miami is like a relatively similar profile of like a great defense and an okay offense, but managed to beat what I definitely consider to be a better team.
Yes.
But it also just could have been like a lot of the game just turned because of turnovers.
It also turns out that single games are not really a robust sample size to determine the better team. This is a shocking development, obviously. Because the favorite won every game last year, people figured the favorite would win every game for all eternity in the college football playoff.
Coming
it or
from
not,
a real NBA fan who's just like, we should play 1,000,000 games in the regular season and then play 7-game series in the playoffs, all the way to the point that no one actually cares until a series is like 2-2 or 3-2.
I don't think I would say that about the series. I mean, no one is defending the 82-game regular season here, friend.
You're like,
it's only Adam Silver.
I mean, it's the owners. It's Adam
No,
Silver on behalf of the owners.
I understand.
Money.
But
Capitalism is defending the 82-game season.
No one
That's
is
it.
like, oops, all regular season, except for soccer, where
Has any sport
you don't do a
ever
playoff. Cut the length of the regular season?
Yeah, retracted a regular season? It would be a pretty bold move for the NBA to do. It just won't happen.
Probably it won't. I don't know. The MLS may have expanded, contracted. Who knows? Scholars are divided on the issue.
I think there are real problems in the NBA. I mean, I was saying that to you after going to the Blazers game, where it was just like there were 7 like notable players who just didn't play in it.
Yeah, we're all aware. Thanks for discovery.
Well, seeing that Wemby got hurt too, I was just like, what
I mean,
the
Wemby-
hell?
Wemby he's perhaps not even going to miss a game.
Okay, he's
So
fine.
let's all
I wasn't
remain
sure.
calm.
I was a little bit concerned about that though, because I don't know.
But yes,
I guess I'm a Spurs
I mean,
fan. I'm
it's the 65 game rule is just a disaster. Is I predicted from the start it would be.
what is
So
the 65 game rule?
that you have to play 65 games to be eligible for awards.
That's a disaster.
Yeah, because it's going to lead to like, average starters are going to be all NBA this year because all of the players are injured. I'm exaggerating slightly for effect here, but there are
Was
guys
this
who
the first year that that's the case?
it's the most dramatic year.
Who is the most average starter who's going to be all NBA because of this rule?
I mean, I'm obviously exaggerating significantly, but like
Is Denny is he an all NBA player?
I probably not, but we're not that far away. I mean, I did a projection for next week and I included Wemby, who we'll see. And obviously there are further injuries that are going to come. This was after the Jokic injury, so I didn't have him. And then the third team was Jamal Murray, Tyrese Maxey, who I do think has had a really awesome season. Uh Alperen Şengün. What else did I have on my third team? Scotty Barnes, and then Steph, who, we'll see if Steph stays healthy as well.
Are we nearing? We're nearing ish halfway of the regular season. No, right?
We are. Yes.
We are. We're
Thursday,
nearing halfway of the regular season.
next Thursday will be the first team will have played 41 regular season games.
So the All Star break happens like pretty like
it's
60% of the way.
2/3 of the way.
Yeah. Okay. What after this time? I'm curious. Having gone to NBA game, my NBA game of the year. What are some of the takeaways that you have so far from the season?
That San Antonio is way better than we expected. Like they're a real thing real soon. The East is unexpectedly deeper than the West. Like of the top 5 teams,
the Blazers being in the play-in is wild to me.
I mean, the Blazers being in the play-in is not necessarily wild. The Blazers having the record that they have and being in the play-in and the injuries that they've had is pretty wild. Yes.
No, I agree. The team itself, I think the play-in would have been the expectation, but
I mean, the 11th place in the West is 12-20. Last year, 11th place in the West was 36-46.
The Clippers are getting there, though, right?
I think the Clippers are likely to make the play-in. Yes. Okay. So Blazers will have their work cut out for them if they're going to stay in there. Ooh, sorry, Monks.
Is that Thunder team like? How overwhelming of favorites are they? Are we surprised by the Pistons too?
Well, they can't beat the Spurs. Yeah, of course we're surprised by the Pistons.
Okay.
I mean, the expectation is they will not likely finish first in the East. New York will probably still win the East.
It is kind of fun that it feels like New York is going to have a newish team in the finals.
But people thought that Orlando and Atlanta were the up-and-coming teams in the East after their off-season moves. Atlanta, it's gone horribly wrong. Orlando has been fine. There was a story last week about Paolo Banchero complaining about people saying that the Magic are better when him and Franz Wagner play separately and then when they play together. And it was like, I'm not sure that's actually the argument here, Paolo. I don't think anyone's talking about when you play without Franz, how great the Magic are. And Franz Wagner has been hurt lately.
Your hate for Paolo is deep.
I love Paolo, but my colleague Tom Haberstroh wrote earlier this week that the Magic have a Paolo Banchero problem.
Yikes! So. What doesn't he do well? Like what?
He doesn't score efficiently.
He's a volume scorer.
Yeah.
Does he defend?
He's good enough defensively, certainly. I mean, they have not been as good defensively this season after getting somewhat smaller, but I mean, last year they were in elite defense.
Has anything like Indiana ever happened before where a team went from the finals to it from a game 7 in the finals to just truly awful?
I mean, yes, people have asked about this before, and it's like, do you not remember the 1998-99 Chicago Bulls?
Sure, yes.
Also, the 2019-20 Golden State Warriors would be the closest analog of a team that narrowly lost the finals, then had massive injuries the next year. It was probably a bit more strategic in the Warriors' case, but the
The
Pacers are.
they would like to win at this point.
I don't think they would. I
Not
think
anymore.
Rick Carlisle understands the assignment when it is not time for his teams to win games. Got the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic, may get the Pacers a high lottery pick this year.
Okay, fair enough. This is one other random thought that I had. I'm sure people pointed this out, but that Falcons win on Monday night, knowing that the Falcons traded their first round pick to the Rams, and
I
that
forgot about that.
did you remember that?
No.
It's like the gift that keeps on giving
For the Rams?
for us.
What do you mean? Oh, the win is the gift that
The
keeps it.
Falcons win is like the gift that
I
keeps on
see.
giving in every way.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's definitely something where it's like, we'll obviously see what happens this weekend, but it is probably the type of game that the Rams are going to look back on and be like, we didn't make the Super Bowl because of this loss to the Falcons. Whether it's a symptom or it's randomness, I think it's going to be proven. And this, I'm sure called the Rams dead many times in the water, but like, they don't have forever with this roster.
Oh, the Rams are not dead in the water. They don't have forever with Matthew Stafford. Yes,
exactly.
I think that is safe to say.
It is one of those things where it's like they kind of need to. Every year, something catastrophic could happen with Stafford at this point.
We thought it did. They have now clinched. They can't pick in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8th would be the highest Atlanta could possibly pick, and that's if they lose on Sunday, which. Hopefully they won't. And then Kansas City and Cincinnati both win, which seems pretty unlikely for the Chiefs.
Who are they playing? Who are the Falcons playing this weekend?
They're playing the Saints.
Oh, God, the Saints are too good.
But they don't have Chris Olave, so that's maybe helpful for the Falcons.
Are we going to do the year-end over-unders? Are we going to wait until the Seahawks? Because we might be doing those well into... We're going to do them in February?
We'll see.
Okay.
No, we're not going to do them in February, but we'll see on when we actually do them.
Okay, because we have to get Ben back on.
Yes. On that note.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.